Well,
We're ready.
we're ready.
Yep. What are we talking about? We're talking about movies. Movies. The original series movies.
Original series.
First 6 movies.
Have massive. Well, he's
Seems appropriate.
big as my body.
So what did you think of the movies overall?
That's a good question.
Yeah? What was your overall impression of the movies?
So
Yeah?
they were actually really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So they had this continuous thread of character development throughout, like this sense of continuity. And they also brought in a lot of interesting concepts that just never made it into the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Like the Genesis device, which they then dropped in the next movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is the character development, right?
Yes.
We had a lot of like really interesting character development for Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
A lot more than we usually did with the show, right?
They showed Spock struggling with his duality. Like, oh, you're not actually logical. You don't get this super logical necklace or whatever. Right at the beginning of the first movie, actually.
Yeah, and that like carried through to the very end, where in the last movie he was saying, you know what, logic is not everything.
Yeah.
To the new Vulcan lady that was there, I remember that, and I was like, wow, you've come a long way.
Yeah.
Remember that scene?
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of that movie. And then with Kirk, he struggles with how he doesn't want to like express himself.
Yeah.
You know, and that carries through the whole series.
Because he has a moment as well when everyone is facing themselves, their like darkest parts of themselves. They are still themselves very distinctly, but as they face themselves, they come to like revelations.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to be Kirk's turn to face his darkest self, he's like, no, screw that.
He doesn't want to face it. Mm-hmm. He says, I need my pain. It makes me who I am. Like, yeah. Like, and he himself is the one that is, you know, the most in pain, but he doesn't want to face it, especially after the death of his son earlier.
Yeah.
Right? And there's that really good moment in Wrath of Khan where he just sits there and he's like, this is a life I could have had. And just he doesn't really like express it. The scene between him and Carol in the where the Genesis experiment is, and they're sitting there, and it's a really solid scene. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So let's talk about the movies. Let's talk about the first movie, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, like right off the bat, even in the first movie, not as pronounced in the first movie, but these movies are very much so ensemble movies.
Oh yeah,
they
absolutely.
Focus on everyone to an extent.
Yeah, and that's super fun because that's just not a thing with the original series because we don't really know these characters as well as we know any of the other Star Trek characters really. Like we don't really know a whole lot about Uhura or Scotty or Sulu or Chekhov. You know, they're just there as like background characters.
But they still get to like run around and do things that are related to whatever their specialty is. Mm-hmm. Especially in the fourth movie.
Yeah. Which is probably the strongest movie.
I think
honestly.
So. Because it's such an ensemble movie and because it's so fun and so cohesive.
So let's talk about the first movie. What do you think about the first movie? The first movie was pretty boring. Yeah.
So boring.
It was a movie where they were like, we have a budget now, and we're going to show how much of a budget we have. Like, oh my God, we got a movie. Like, who would have thought we had a movie? And there's a little bit of an interesting through line in that like everybody feels like they're too old to be here now.
Yeah, that was good.
Like they're questioning, why are we even here? You know, like it's like the movie's questioning its own existence.
Because Kirk has this moment where he's like, I'm an admiral now. I wish that I were still a captain. I wish I could still be running around, but that life isn't mine anymore.
Mm-hmm. And he usurps someone else's command to take control of the Enterprise. And the movie points out, like, this is not your life anymore. Like, why are you here? Everyone else has moved on. Why are you like doing this? And he's even shown to not really understand the way the new Enterprise works because it's been retrofitted.
Because the actual captain is like very hastily in the middle of an emergency situation takes command and is like, don't fire phasers because it goes through the engines. That could blow up the ship or whatever. I don't know why they wired.
That was a really dumb decision, but yes, that was a dumb decision to wire the weapons to the engines.
But like the specific idea of you don't know this ship and how it operates. This guy does better than you do.
It's not your ship anymore, and the whole world's moved on. So why are we on this movie? That's the question that the movie's saying. It doesn't really come to a conclusion there, but it's just interesting that the movie itself is questioning why it exists, which is such a weird thing.
We are here because of nostalgia.
Yes.
We're a bunch of old guys who have been dragged out.
Yes, and the movie is saying that they're there for nostalgia too. That Kirk is there for nostalgia for his old life as a captain. It's like the movie's here for nostalgia.
So, like, those threads running through it are good. It's just a problem that they never follow through. They just have the captain become another being on another plane or something. I don't know.
He joins with the Voyager probe.
Yeah.
It's not a very interesting story, but
the character.
The little bits that we were talking about there are the most interesting part of the movie.
And like you mentioned, they carry throughout the movies too. They build these.
The one moment when you really first realize that this is going to be a Borg movie is the 5-minute extended scene when we stare at the Enterprise. It is literally 5 minutes long. I looked from the moment it started to the moment the actual like shuttle docks with the ship. It's 5 minutes. It's so long.
I remember when we hit that part, I was like, oh, okay, that's neat. And then it kept going. I was like, oh, okay, it's just going to be a little longer. Okay. And then it kept going. Like, what? And it just kept going and going. Like, you could have just had a cute little 20-second shot maximum of this ship, play your swelling music, and that's it.
It would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
It would have fulfilled the same purpose as that. It would have been like hit the nostalgia button, made everybody go, oh, it's the Enterprise, and then that's it. And then you don't have to spend 5 minutes on it.
But they just and they kept shooting back to Kirk and Scotty as well. And the two like looked like they were gonna cry, and it was cute and all. You can have your shot, reverse shot again, whatever. But it just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and eventually it felt like it was parroting itself. Like that one episode of
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
Yeah, there's a reason why Lower Decks made fun of the scene.
Even Lower Decks, which made fun of the scene, did not take the full 5 minutes
Nope.
that the scene took.
Nope. They like dragged it out uncomfortably because that's what the movie does in the scene where they made fun of it. And a different movie later did this better. I think it was like the 5th movie or whenever they were looking at the new Enterprise, the Enterprise A. They did it better because it was not as long and they docked in like less than a minute instead of a full 5-minute extended scene.
I think that the 5 minutes is actually the full amount of time it would have taken this shuttle to travel.
Yeah, like we were watching it in actual real time, which is really funny. Like we don't need to see this real time thing.
No. Second movie.
Yeah, second movie was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal movie. Besides the fact that Khan shouldn't know who Chekhov is. That was very funny.
That was kind of
because the Khan's episode is in season 1 and Chekhov didn't show up until season 2.
Chekhov was like, I remember you. Wow.
She shouldn't.
Maybe he was on deck somewhere. Maybe he was still a member of the Enterprise.
Yeah, he could like actually have been there, just
Yeah.
off screen the whole time. Yeah, why not? Anyway, this movie was incredible. Why
Would
was
you like to extrapolate?
yeah? So everything about this movie was very good, and the themes of revenge were fantastic. Where obviously, Khan was seeking for revenge, and the themes of creating new life, and uh, pairing that with Spock's death at the end, which was fantastic. The whole like Genesis device was very interesting, right? Like we're terraforming a planet, and we're
We're doing it in the space of like a minute.
yeah, we're doing it super quickly. And like I was saying before, you had Kirk come to this place and see his former lover and his son, and like think this is what he could have had.
Yeah.
You know, I liked the plot where Khan lured the Enterprise out very specifically, and I like then how he got consumed by revenge to the point where his crew were like, why are you doing this? We could have left. We have a ship. We've taken over the ship. We could have left by now. And Khan is so consumed by his personal revenge that he's not willing to just leave.
To the point that he and his actions end up destroying what's left of his crew.
Mm-hmm.
They all die around him.
Yeah, and
he didn't
he's
break
still
himself.
and he's still pursuing the revenge, even as they all die around him, and then his ship blows up. That's the only thing he can think about.
Like they clearly just wanted the device so that they could go off to some planet somewhere, blow the device up the planet, and then live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had what they needed.
They absolutely did.
Need to kill her.
No, killing Kirk was just revenge, just petty revenge for marooning him on this planet.
And it destroyed all of them.
What a great story of being consumed by vengeance. Mm-hmm.
And then you have, of course, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So you have Spock giving up his life for the rest of the crew in this final act of humanity. This final act of caring for other people. These people who he has bonded with and gone on journeys with. And you also have him giving up his life for life, if that makes sense. So the shot at the end where it shows his coffin surrounded by the life of the planet.
Oh, it's so good.
Feels very symbolic of that. Like I gave up my life for everybody. There's now life even through my death.
And his funeral was fantastic too. It says, of all the souls I've met in my travels, his was the most human.
Yeah.
And you just like go, oh. Yeah, it was such a beautiful final send off for this character. Also, the beginning of the movie that started with the Kobayashi Maru was really good because later in the movie, Kirk has to face a no-win scenario, and he talks about how he's cheated death so many times, and he doesn't believe in the no-win scenario.
And
yeah. Yeah, and he said the complete opposite, at the beginning when he comes in and Saavik is taking the Kobayashi Maru test, and he's like, you got to be able to face death, and he's like, and then later on at the end, he's like, I don't do that. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in facing death. And yet here he is confronted with the death of his best friend in the world at the very end, and there's no way to get out of that. It's the no-win scenario. Mm-hmm. It's such a fantastic theme that we start with that.
It's a lot of white space about us.
There is a lot of white space. Whoa.
I just realized. Whoa.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Good job.
Centered.
Wow.
And half of me is still just whale.
Still just the giant whale. This movie was incredible, I think is the point that we're making. Yeah. You also think it was incredible.
Yes. Yeah. And then they undermined all of it.
Yeah, and then the third movie destroyed it. The third movie was awful because it felt along the lines of Rise of Skywalker. where
Yeah.
it hated the movie that was before it and completely undermined it because it was afraid of the fans. I think that was what Rise of Skywalker was doing. It was afraid of the fans.
And don't give me the excuse, oh, they planned it because Spock put his Katra into McCoy or whatever.
Yeah, no.
It still undermines
It still completely undermines the story.
Or not.
The main good things that they had in this movie were they started doing some ensemble stuff in this movie,
Yeah.
which was pretty decent. Like each character had like a fun line.
Like Scotty with Excalibur or whatever. What was it?
What with Excelsior?
Excelsior.
Wait, was it Excelsior?
Yeah.
The-
Scotty was supposed to be on Excelsior. Was that in the second movie? I don't
Was it
know.
Excel? Wait, what was the name of the
I think
ship?
it was Excelsior.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Scotty was supposed to be on Excelsior, and then he backstabbed Excelsior, like sabotaged it so the Enterprise could go out and seek Spock.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. Really fun.
Mhm.
That could have bolts up your shaft.
That was very funny. And then Uhura like pulled a gun on someone.
Yeah.
So-
there was this kid really disrespecting her.
Mhm.
Like, it's okay for you to retire. It's okay for you to be on this ship because you're past your prime. She's
But I want to be out there exploring the universe. It's like,
I
really?
need adventure. I need to get my adrenaline going. She's like, is your adrenaline going enough yet?
Oh. Yeah, and then they all become criminals.
Yay!
Because Kirk wants to go and get the body of Spock that was on the planet.
They don't even know Spock's alive at this point.
They just want his body. But like, why? If you wanted his body, why did you shoot it at the planet at all?
Right.
Why did you not just keep it?
Well, I think there was like a reason.
It was like a beautiful final send off for the character. But this movie doesn't have a reason why they would want to go get it. Because this movie sucked. Oh no, yeah, they did.
Because
They wanted to bring it to Vulcan, right?
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, because his dad showed up.
Oh,
Eric showed up.
well, they wanted to bring it to Vulcan because McCoy had his Katra in him,
Yeah,
and his dad wanted to pull that out.
it was like, hey, there's actually this like Vulcan ritual thing that we need to do, so that everything he is lost. And Kirk's like, oh shoot, oops, shot that at a planet. I wish you had told me about those burial rites.
Yeah, that would have been nice to know before I shot his body at the planet. Yeah. Then the movie also undermines the Genesis planet, which is really shitty. They were like, oh, actually, Carol and David made shortcuts on their work, and so actually the planet's gonna blow up. Sorry, lol. It was so dumb. Like that completely undermines Carol and David's characters because they were not the type of people that would make shortcuts in the Wrath of Khan.
It also undermines that beautiful final scene in the second movie where you show Spock's body surrounded by life because, death, like life out of death. Like
Mhm.
it ruins that.
It was
because the
such a-
planet just blows up.
It was a fantastic theme, like thematically, right?
Mhm.
That life out of death. And actually, nope, the planet blows up, lol. It's actually the Genesis device is just a weapon, lol.
Cool, guys. Cool.
Christopher Lloyd is a Klingon, lol.
That was weird. That was supremely strange.
And then we just kill your son for no reason, lol.
It's Klingon bastards killed my son. That is good because it plants a seed for a future thing, but it's not good in the context of
No. In this movie, it's very, very dumb. Like it works for the later character development really well. It works really well in the sixth movie,
yeah.
but it's really bad in this movie.
In this movie, they have the Klingon dangling from a cliff, and he does extend a hand to the Klingon to try to help him, and the Klingon tries to take him down with him, and then he just stomps on his hands until
Yep.
he falls.
It's like I am tired of you, and then he like kicks him in the face, and then he falls to his death. It's so dumb.
It's a massive contrast to in the future in Next Gen when when you have Picard being shot at by a Ferengi ship, and he's like, maybe this is just a misunderstanding. Maybe it's because we were pursuing too closely behind them, and doesn't shoot back. Whereas Kirk here on this cliff
Kicks him in the face.
kicks him in the face. Kicks him off the cliff.
Okay, Kirk.
Well, we see what he's about.
Like, it's perfectly in line with the way he acts in
It is.
the actual show, where he's constantly fighting everybody.
Like
he pursues the Romulan ship to its death.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like, he gives that initial, we're going to try to help you, and, oh, never mind. Well, not if you're going to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, that's a conditional help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that a Klingon is going to refuse your help. Like, that's going to happen.
We come in peace.
Shoot to kill.
We come in peace.
To kill.
Yeah.
Then they end up in Vulcan, and then they have a nice little ceremony where they put Spock's Tatra back inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, you do.
And then there's the cute little wrap up where they're like all standing together.
That is
which
cute.
That would have
It's unearned. But...
No, it's not earned. Like, that would have been good in a good movie.
Yeah.
Because it plays like the sting of the original theme, which is good. Like that would have been good in a good movie.
Oh.
The wrap up was fine.
One great thing to come out of this movie, like pretty much the only great thing I feel, other than like the stuff we mentioned, the seeds for the future that we mentioned. There's a moment. There's like a whole scene where McCoy is acting like Spock, but also like McCoy.
Oh yeah, that was very funny.
It's not logical to carry poison in a bar. Damn it.
That was very funny. That was really, really good.
That was fun.
Because McCoy is still like super honorary and everything, while also being logical.
All of the like little ensemble things they do in this movie are super fun.
Well, it is. The ensemble stuff is good because it sets the stage for how we're gonna act, in the next couple movies.
And speaking of the very next movie.
Yeah. Oh my God. Voyage Home was just
the movie.
that movie just blew me away. I was shocked because I remember this movie being good, and then when we saw it again, I was just like, oh my God,
it's really
what
good.
an incredible movie!
Like, it's so strong because it's an ensemble movie. Because all of these characters have their own separate missions. Kirk does not have his hands in every single mission. So you have like Scotty and Chekhov, right? Scotty and Chekhov, or
yeah, Scotty and Chekhov go
or
off.
maybe Chekhov and Uhura. I don't know.
No, yeah, Chekhov and Uhura go to the.
Scotty and Sue.
No,
I don't know.
it wasn't Scotty and Sue.
Anyway,
Scotty and somebody are in charge of going and building the tank.
Yeah.
For the whale.
They all separate their own ways, and you have this really funny scene with Scotty being like, "Well, how do we know he didn't invent this new thing?" And you have this fun.
Oh yeah, you corrupted the timeline.
Yeah.
You gave future technology to this guy.
We sure did corrupt the
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Sulu being like, "Yeah, I've flown something before. I'm a quick study. Of course, I can fly a helicopter. It's really old." And like Uhura, figuring out the language of the whale.
Yeah, initially in the beginning, when they were trying to figure out like what the hell this was, like this like giant probe that was attacking their planet, that she was the one that figured out, oh, it's a whale.
Because it's a communication thing. They have everyone do something in their specialty, and Chekhov doing a weapons thing, and like
he was the one that went on the nuclear vessel to get the nuclear power.
Nuclear vessels? Does anyone know what the nuclear vessels are?
Yeah.
This police officer.
just a Russian guy in the middle of the Cold War asking for nuclear vessels in the middle of New York or San Francisco. It was very funny.
And there is a very helpful lady who's like, "Oh, I know where that is." Good on you, lady, I guess.
Good job.
Yeah.
And then of course, double dumbass on you, which is pretty great.
Yeah, Spock has this moment where Kirk explains to him why people are using such colorful language. He's like, yeah, it's normal for this time. Nobody pays attention to you if you don't use the explicatives. Uh, and then Spock starts using it.
He sure does. Like every other word. And then Kirk's just like, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe this no. He's like, the hell I am. I was trying the hell to say to help it. Like, oh, that's not what I meant. That's not at all what I meant there.
It all starts with Kirk trying to cross the street. Somebody calls him a dumbass. He's like, "Double dumbass on you."
Mhm.
And Spock observes this and learns from it.
Yeah,
As he does.
it's very funny. I really like the conversation in the restaurant between Kirk and the whale lady when she's like she doesn't take him at all seriously and he's just like straight up telling her the truth and she's like yeah, of course, yes, captain, yeah. It's very funny because she thinks that these guys are insane, as you would when one of them jumped into the whale tank and was swimming with the whale. It was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, just come clean with me. Explain why you're here. Oh, well, I'm the starship captain.
I'm
So
from the
in
future.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah,
Why didn't you tell
course.
me? Yeah.
She's like, yeah, of course you are, obviously. And then it's really funny that because she drops him off inside of a public park.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, she probably thinks they're like homeless guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he's just like gone. It's really funny when she comes to the park later on and she's like banging on the invisible ship, on the Klingon ship. It's very funny. And then like Scotty's like peeking up above on the top of the ship, and he's just like, and the ship's invisible, so it's just like him. And he like looks down. And he's like, oh,
There's a person down there.
yeah, yeah. The movie starts with the giant probe, right, that wants to destroy the planet because there's no whales. It's like, where's the whales? These are the most intelligent species on your planet.
So it attempts to communicate.
Yeah, with the whales.
Really, I feel like this whole probe thing trying to communicate and starting to wipe out Earth,
Mm-hmm.
is all well and good, but really the strongest part is on this movie.
Oh, it is. It sure is. I really like.
It does have a good conserve our animals on Earth.
Yeah, because you never know when a probe is going to come and want to talk to the whales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the giraffes. Or
the giraffe. You never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I really like when you have the frantic shots of Starfleet Command. They're going crazy, and then Kirk shows up and he's like, "I'm going to attempt time travel," and they're like, "No,
Guys!
No, what are you doing? Why are you attempting time travel?" Yeah. Yep, and then like the High Admiral's like, "No, get him back! What is he doing?"
We need to talk to him.
He's like already a criminal at this point for stealing the Enterprise.
The only reason why they didn't lock him up is because he saved the world.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Like, fair enough. And then the whale lady goes on a science ship. I'm not sure if she got her own ship at the end, or if she was on a ship. But it seems like, why would she get her own ship?
I think she was on a ship.
Because she's the only person at all who knows who's like is an expert on whale biology, because the species was extinct.
I think she's
until like 5 minutes ago.
I don't think she would get her own ship when she knows nothing of this technology.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I just think it's really funny she's the only person just anywhere that is an expert in whale biology, because they were literally extinct 5 minutes ago.
And now that's super duper important to have around.
It sure is.
Because we have these whales here. What are we gonna do with them?
We have to get more whale babies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make whale babies.
Yeah, and Kirk is demoted. It's like pretty much a slap on the wrist for him because he wanted to be captain. That was like the whole point.
The whole thing in his first couple movies.
Mm-hmm. For stealing the Enterprise and getting it blown up, he gets demoted because he saved the planet.
Yeah.
Well, do you think about the fifth movie,
What happened in the fifth movie?
The Final Frontier?
Did they find God or something?
Yeah, that was the God movie. That was the movie
Yeah.
when we thought it was actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm remembering now.
Mhm.
That's the one where everyone is facing their fear, facing their dark memories.
Mhm.
Um, but it's so important that this guy who is causing this, who
Cybok.
causes Cybok.
Spock's long lost brother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so important that Cybok is very specifically not mind controlling people into following him. He is making them face their fear, and then they are then acting within their own character.
They absolutely are. They're now that they face their darkest thing that they kept buried inside of them. They're willing to help him now.
Yeah.
That is really cool that this isn't mind control.
Yeah. I feel it's so much stronger when it's not mind control, because then you can reason with the person. You can ask yourself, why is this person acting that way?
Mhm.
I think that's a lot more interesting from a character development perspective.
We did in this movie without even Sarek being in it. There was some interesting development for Sarek because Cybok is the daughter or the son of Sarek and a Vulcan princess, right?
Yeah.
And then so then we learn, but Sarek married a human, right? And so it's like
it's almost implied then
yeah,
that he was promised to a Vulcan princess and they were together for some period of time.
And they broke it off. But like, what does Sarek represent to the Vulcan, like to the Vulcan planet, to the Vulcan people? Like to them, he represents the human lover. And it's so interesting when we see Spock's scene when he's like facing his darkest feeling, his darkest fear is at his birth, when as soon as he's born and the baby goes to Sarek says so human, and then and like he's disappointed, you know. But he is the one in Vulcan society who ever married a human. He's the one that's the human lover to the Vulcans.
Projecting all of his own insecurities and his own issues onto his son.
His son who represents it.
Yeah.
His son is half human, right? He represents everything that Sarek almost feels about himself. You know? Like what must have that been like to grow up with that, where your father was putting that all on you? Mm-hmm. That's
heavy.
That's heavy. And we get that scene was very good, and the other scene that was before it with McCoy was very good, where we find out he euthanized his father right before the cure came out that would have saved his life.
Ooh, buddy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
That's so heavy. That was such a good scene, like such a intense scene, where we learned that he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they find God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they find God, but this is not the God that Cybok was looking for.
It has very like Judeo-Christian God vibes. Like the coding is very Judeo-Christian.
Yeah, it feels like a Moses moment, right?
Yeah.
Like you're standing
Like
on hallowed ground.
Yeah.
But this God is like just an alien that was trapped on this planet because it keeps wanting a starship to escape the planet.
Yeah.
Which leads to Kirk's fun line, the best line. What does God need with a starship?
Such a good line.
It's so great. Like why?
He refuses to answer.
Yep, he just keeps saying, "How dare you?"
But he keeps asking, "Why does God need a starship? How dare you question me?" It's very reminiscent of how you, or at least like from our experience as kids, we grew up in a very Christian household, and we were discouraged from asking questions like, don't question God. God has a plan. Just believe. Just trust.
It extends to don't question your parents too.
Yeah.
Like why? Because I say so. You know.
That does nothing.
It absolutely does nothing.
If you don't ask those questions, then how are you going to learn and grow as a person?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
it's a lot easier for the parent to just say because I said so.
Than to sit down and talk with the kid. And
like go do the dishes. Why? Because I said so. Well, that doesn't help. It helps more to explain. Like, oh, you gotta do the dishes because if you don't do any dishes, then there won't be any clean dishes next time we go to eat.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you want to eat off a piece of cardboard? No.
Okay.
No. There you go. And that would be, even though that's more mental labor for the parent in that moment, it's better for the kid from that point onward to understand in their own life, okay, I have to do the dishes.
Yeah. And if you just do because I say so, then the kid's just going to resent you. Right? The kid's going to be like, I'll do the dishes because I was threatened to. And then I'm just like sitting there resenting my parent the whole time while I'm doing it, like, oh, dishes.
It's like this culture of I'm going to whip my child when they disrespect me versus I'm going to sit with them and talk to them and try to teach them so that when they're an adult, they can better function.
Mm-hmm. And Kirk represents that perspective in that moment when he says, what does God need with the starship? And he keeps asking the question over and over again, and God keeps saying, how dare you question me?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, God, answer the question.
Yeah.
It's a valid question.
What's up, buddy? Why?
And he never answers the question, and he just ultimately gets pissed off. And the Enterprise actually ends up shooting him.
Yeah.
With the photon torpedo.
How can you shoot God with the photon torpedo? Because he's not a god.
Yeah.
Because he's an alien being.
Like, what must he have done to be locked up by the other gods?
Like the center of the universe.
Yeah, in the center of the universe.
Before
we've been to the center of the universe in the animated series, which is funny. And now we're back in the center of the universe.
I think we've discovered this country before.
I think so. And the Sybok has a really good end here. He realizes this is not the god that he was searching for, and he tries to reason with the god, take away his pain, in the same way he'd been doing for everyone else in the whole movie. It was actually really fantastic because the movie didn't actually demonize Sybok at all at the end there.
Yeah.
Even though he took over the ship and forced it into the center of the universe.
He's just a guy who misunderstood. He was out in search of this paradise, and he didn't realize that it was just an alien world, an alien prison for this guy.
Yeah.
He misunderstood.
Yeah, and that was good. It was a good ending for him. It was specifically that he was trying to do the same thing he was doing for everyone else. It's like, let me take away your pain,
yeah.
God.
He was not brainwashing these people.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a malevolent person.
It was a surprisingly decent movie. Yeah. There was also the fan dance.
Oh.
The Uhura fan dance.
I forgot.
You forgot about the Uhura fan dance.
I don't know why they did that. She's like, what, 60 years old at this point?
Oh yeah, it's like a 60-year-old lady doing a sexy fan dance.
It was so
weird. To lure people in. I don't know why you did that.
What was the point of it?
There was very little point.
There's a part of me that wonders if she requested to do that herself, because she requested.
Oh yeah.
Like, can I wear the mini skirt? And they're like, sure.
Sure,
yeah,
go for it.
Absolutely. If you feel empowered by that, you go for it.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that wonders.
I definitely think Nichelle Nichols was empowered by the sexualization of her character throughout all of Star Trek history. Really.
Super cool.
I definitely think that was what was going on there.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is a thing that you are forbidden from doing because you're a woman. Well, screw that.
Mm-hmm. Like she said, the skirt she was wearing is more revealing than what she normally wears.
yeah, her is cool. Nichelle Nichols is cool.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I like in that movie where we are on this planet that is supposed to be a planet where we all get to know each other. We're all building a community together, right? It's like a peace planet.
Oh yeah, the colony at the very beginning. because
Mhm.
the colony at the beginning has Klingons, Romulans, and humans all working together.
Which is
Kind
good.
of weird.
That's such a good idea. And then I like when like they go to rescue the ambassadors, and then the ambassadors take them captive.
Because they had their pain taken away.
Yeah.
I don't like how ominously the movie treats whenever he helps somebody through their pain.
Mhm.
Because it's like, I shall take your pain away. Dun, 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 dun. No.
Yeah, it's a bit weird in the tone, but I mean it's fine. Like because I think the most important part with that is the scene with McCoy and Spock where they face their darkest things.
It's great for their character.
And
And
it's,
even like her denying help was great for his character.
that was perfectly in character for him. That was really good, especially going into the last movie when that comes back and hits him, right? Where he's we're talking about Undiscovered Country, where he is very bigoted towards the Klingons because they killed his son, and he didn't want to confront that pain, but now it's right in his face.
What he denied in the previous movie now comes to haunt him because Kirk in the sixth movie, what's it called?
The Undiscovered Country.
I don't know, man. I don't know what these movies.
The Undiscovered Country.
I thought the fifth movie was the Undiscovered Country. I don't know, man.
No, the fifth movie is the Final Frontier.
Whatever it is. Anyway, what Kirk denied, what Kirk refused to face, is now directly in his face in the sixth movie because he is put in charge of this peace delegation.
He's supposed to go and bring the Klingon Chancellor, who is arranging this peace delegation, to Earth so that they can negotiate a treaty.
And then he's assassinated.
Yeah, the Klingon Chancellor, not Kirk. Yeah, and it turns into a mystery whodunit kind of a thing where it's made to look like the Enterprise attacked. The Enterprise shot the ship that the Chancellor was on, and then sent assassins in to kill him.
But there's actually a cloaked ship right there nearby that can fire while cloaked, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of an insane thing. It's kind of really bad for everybody else in the galaxy if a ship can cloak and fire at the same time.
It's especially interesting because ultimately, it's a Vulcan and Klingons and Romulans and humans all working together to stop peace. Ironically,
That's such a good that's such a good theme. Like these people can work together.
We've seen that with the colony in the previous movie.
Yes, they literally can work together, but they're working together to stop them working together. Like that's so insane.
Guys, do you not see what you're doing?
Like you've proved you can work together. So now do it.
Yeah.
Don't try to destroy working together. Do it.
They work together to. How sweet.
Right?
How heartwarming.
Right. Yeah. Then they try to assassinate Kirk while he's on the penal colony. He has a whole little courtroom scene.
I forgot about that.
The courtroom scene.
Well, I forgot about his entire time on the penal colony. I felt like it didn't really matter.
No, there was just someone who was trying to assassinate him. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Ultimately, the strength of this movie comes from the fact that it transitions from original series era to next gen era. The era where we are fighting with people and we come in peace, shoot to kill. And those Klingon bastards killed my son. We are taking all of that and we are accepting everything that has happened and saying, you know what? There's still a better way. We are still going to move forward and try to make peace. We are going to talk with people from now on. We will come in peace first and not shoot to kill. Even when we shoot people, we are going to stun.
And when we say come in peace, we're not going to hold a gun at them.
Yeah.
When we say that.
Kirk.
There's a really good scene specifically on that theme of transitioning, where Kirk says, "How can peace get through people like me?" Like just that's so thematically resonant. We're like we're thinking about how can we be peaceful in the age of the original series, in the age of Kirk, where he's like really hateful towards the Klingons. It's so good because it's the cycle of hatred. We're like your father was killed, so you have to take revenge, and then you were killed, so your son has to take revenge, and then he's killed, and his son takes to take revenge, and it just goes on, and it won't stop. It will never stop until somebody says, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to take revenge. We have to stop.
So how does history get through people like me who had their sons killed?
Yes, because that cycle will continue forever until somebody makes the conscious choice to stop, which is so good. And
it's a great launching point.
And we do make the conscious choice ultimately at the Khitomer Accords, where we say we're going to make peace. We're going to be friends now.
Like, yes, this Klingon who envisioned peace was assassinated. Yes, there were people from all these factions working together to stop this peace. But despite all of that, we feel we can move forward. We can still work together.
We're not going to let this dream die with this guy who had the dream and was trying to push it through. Yeah. Like his daughter still carried it through, even though all of her advisors were telling her that this was an awful idea. Remember that one scene where she was on her ship and the people were like, make peace with the humans? Like, that's just an awful idea, you know? It's so good. She just says, you know what, we're going to do it. Yep. We're not going to let it die.
Have to push through the hatred.
Yeah. Then we have it was a good movie, and I really like the final scene where they're all like, we all realize we're over. This is the end of our time, and they get like one last little goodbye, where Uhura says that Starfleet is telling us to commission, to go back immediately and be decommissioned, and then Spock says, if I were human, I would say
go to hell.
If I were human. Yeah, it was very funny. And then they get their little signatures at the end, like it's the Avengers.
That was cute.
That was so cute.
That was really cute. Yeah, it was a great goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
We love them. We love Michelle Nichols especially.
Yeah, where she wore a miniskirt during this movie.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, none of the other women were wearing miniskirts, just her.
I love that.
That was very cool. This movie series was very good. That's ultimately what we're saying. Yeah. Except the first and the third movie. Yeah. Although there's some good things in the first movie, but the third movie is just trash.
The third movie has fun little ensemble moments.
Yeah.
Like a little heist kind of.
There's some like good stuff there.
That's it.
Yeah.
All of the character stuff throughout these movies, including the first and third movie, was good.
Definitely. It was solid.
Yeah. Even when the plot was not solid.
Yep. Now we're done with the original series.
Yeah.
So we have to watch the remakes.
We never have to watch it again.
What? Whoa.
Yeah.